Hi fellow logicians, welcome to the Logical Christ channel where we evaluate logical argument that would help us apply logic to arguments presented. Now, here's the logical argument we will evaluate. Premise 1, in Islam, Allah is uncreated. Premise 2, in Islam, Quran is uncreated but Quran is not Allah. Conclusion, therefore, in Islam, there are at least two uncreated gods. Sit back and relax. We will be back after this short intro. Here again the logical argument. Premise 1, in Islam, Allah is uncreated. Premise 2, in Islam, Quran is uncreated but Quran is not Allah. Conclusion, therefore, in Islam, there are at least two uncreated gods. Premise 1 argument. This is a core belief in Islam that Allah is uncreated. Literally, being uncreated denotes godship in a sense that God must be uncreated. Here's Dr. Shaber Ali explain the concept of Allah being uncreated.
So there must be a first creator that we arrive at, that we could actually go back in our thoughts to, right? One creator is created by another creator, who is created by the first creator, who himself does not have a creator. Because if that one has a creator, we keep going. And we'll never get to there, and we'll never get from there to here. So when we stop at that first creator, we know we're dealing with the uncreated creator. So now the question is, who created the uncreated creator? You see, the question itself is convoluted. It's incoherent. It's not a real question, but people think it's a question because they can form it grammatically. But reasonably, it's not a question. So there must be an uncreated creator of the heavens and the earth. That's the one we're calling Allah.
Now for premise 2 argument. It is a fact that many Muslims believe that the Quran is a speech of Allah is uncreated, and many Muslims even went to prison because of it. Here's a clip of a sheikh that presented its case.
The first question we'll take says that many of our esteemed scholars went to prison for the belief in the Quran being uncreated. Can the Sheikh kindly elaborate on the importance of this belief in our creed and the implications of believing the Quran was/is created?
Yeah, Bismillah. So this mas'ala, this issue it's from daqiq al-kalam. It's from the more very subtle aspects of theology. It's not something I think really people should get involved in. Ahmad ibn Hanbal was famous for standing up against the Mu'tazilite. The Mu'tazilite argued that the Quran was muhdath, that it was created. The Sunnis arrived at, there's two different opinions. One is the Athari opinion, which is Ahmad ibn Hanbal's, where you don't go into details. You just say, Al-Quran kalam Allah ghayru makhluq. It's kalam Allah and it's uncreated.
Here is another clip that a Muslim even admitted that the Quran is God.
What do you mean the word of God doesn't have different existence? The word identical to God?
Yeah,
Are you sure? Well, hold on. You're Muslim, right? So, you sure the word of God is identical to God, so that God is only His word? You sure? No, think about it. Don't be ummi. Think about it, because you're digging a hole for yourself. You sure the word of God is identical to God?
The word of God is God because it proceeds out of
So thank you for proving the Quran is God. Good job.
Yeah.
Oh, so the Quran is God?
The Quran is the word of God.
Yeah, but it's God? Take it easy, man. I don't want you to get too excited. Okay. The word of God, the Quran, is God?
Yes.
So the Quran is God?
Yes.
Following the arguments, we can logically accept the conclusion that based on Islamic sources that in Islam, there are at least two uncreated gods. Here is another spin of the same logical argument. Premise 1, Islam teaches that Allah is uncreated God. Premise 2, Allah is not the Quran but the Quran is also uncreated. Conclusion, therefore, there are two uncreated gods in Islam, Allah and the Quran. Here's a clip that explained this logical argument further.
Had they told you that the Quran that you read is supposed to be the uncreated speech of Allah, without beginning, without end, that became a book? Were you told that?
Yeah.
Okay, so that part you know. Okay, now let's take the part you do know that they told you. We'll come back to the spirit. So the Quran that you're holding, the book and the pages, that's created, right?
Yeah.
But the words themselves are uncreated, right?
Yeah.
Is the Quran Allah?
No.
Okay, I want you to hear yourself, because you said rationality, reason, and you sound intelligent. So I know you're going to catch it. So the Quran is not Allah, but it's uncreated, right?
It's it's like a divine will.
The wheels are starting spinning, because you're starting to think. No, the Quran is not his will, it's his speech.
Or a speech, yeah.
The speech is different from irada, his will. So again, I'm asking, so the Quran is uncreated, right?
Yeah.
But the Quran is not Allah, right?
Yeah.
Now do the math for me, because you're talking about the Trinity. Allah is uncreated, and the Quran is uncreated. The Quran is not Allah. 1 + 1 gives you 2. So where's the 1? I thought you said 1.
Yeah. I mean, there was also stuff like this.
But let's stick on that. Let's not go on the other, because you said, oh, the Quran doesn't say God is a Trinity. You have your own Trinity, which if you thought about it, you would see you're a Trinitarian of a different sort. So you just admit Allah and the Quran are uncreated, but the Quran is not Allah. So let's do the math. Allah is uncreated. The Quran is uncreated. 1 + 1 is 2. So how many gods do you really have?
I mean, we don't view the Quran as God, though.
But if it's uncreated, who besides God is uncreated?
Yeah. Yeah, and I get your point. And, I'll have to meditate on it and think about it. And I really don't know what to say.
Finally, after our evaluation of the premises, we have a solid logical argument that Premise 1, Islam teaches that Allah is uncreated God. Premise 2, Allah is not the Quran, but the Quran is also uncreated. Conclusion, therefore, there are 2 uncreated gods in Islam, Allah and the Quran. What do you think, my fellow logicians? Comment down below.
Thinking with Logical Christ.